you knew the great Dennis Sandole, this story is especially for you. Back in the early 60s, I studied music with one of the two famous brothers from Philadelphia. They were called the Sandole brothers, Adolph Sandole and Dennis Sandole. And they both were musicians, but they were mostly noted for writing compositions and teaching. They were very prolific teachers. Dennis was probably the more famous of the two, and he had taught John Coltrane and Pat Martino and people like that. I think even Dizzy Gillespie, and it was said that people came from all over to take lessons with Dennis. He was both of those guys were very intelligent, well educated, not just in music, but in a lot of other fields too. And but they were both a little bit like, they were characters, just in a nice way. But Dennis, I was studying with him, and Dennis had a voice that it seemed to come from somewhere down here, and it was a very deep voice. And he would like to use a lot of big words where others would suffice. He would use longer words. And but we were all, at the time, we all looked up to him. And we would, when Dennis would speak, we would be on the edge of our seats listening to what he had to say and everything. So one time, I'm at the studio, at Dennis's studio, which was downtown in Philly on Watt Street, which I think was between Broad and 13th and around Spruce Street. And anyway, I might have that location slightly off. But it was Dennis and myself and a trumpet player named Al Longo, who was a friend of mine, and he was also studying with Dennis. And we happened to be in the studio, and Dennis said, let's go out and get some coffee. We'll go down the street. There was a luncheonette, and we went down the street to get a cup of coffee and, just talk and listen to what Dennis had to say and all. And Al had come up from South Philly and had brought in a brown paper bag his lunch, which was a pepper and egg sandwich. Now, pepper and egg sandwiches are very popular in South Philadelphia, and his mother had made him, that was his lunch, He had it in this brown paper bag. So when we get into the restaurant, or the luncheonette, and we're sitting there listening to Dennis talk and everything, and at one point, Al Longo said, Dennis, do you think it would be all right for me to take this sandwich out here and eat it in this place? And I always remember the words. Dennis said, Al, when we do things like that, we only make ourselves more vulnerable to humanity's unpleasant characteristics. And Al Longo looked at him and said, does that mean I shouldn't eat it? End of story.
That's a good one. I have a question. What's an egg and pepper sandwich like? How is the egg fixed? And you mean like black pepper or like bell peppers?
No, they would use like green peppers and scrambled eggs.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it was sort of like an omelet, I guess. I never had one, but that was a thing in South Philly. Hey, pepper and egg sandwich,
Okay.
When we do things like that, we only make ourselves more vulnerable to humanity's unpleasant characteristics.